Today, we'll focus on how to grow cucumbers to achieve the highest harvest, protect the plant from blight, and avoid too much hard work. This method is perfect for both salad cucumbers and pickling cucumbers, and it works well in small or large gardens and greenhouses. You've probably heard about pinching, pruning, or even removing entire shoots from cucumbers. But how to make sense of it? After all, we all grow differently, so you may ask, under what conditions can I carry out each intervention and not harm my plants? I explain everything and show you all the steps clearly. Let's get started. Before we dive into any intervention, let's look at how a cucumber grows and its various parts. This will help us understand how and why to grow cucumbers in a certain way. Later, you'll also know what's what, so you don't accidentally remove something you didn't mean. Salad cucumbers and pickled cucumbers have the same parts and follow the same procedures. The main stem is the part of the plant that grows directly from the root. It can reach great lengths, up to several tens of meters. On the stem, you'll find spots called nodes. These are where other plant parts connect, forming individual tiers. These nodes repeat along the plant and always contain the same components: a flower or fruit, a leaf, a tendril, and either a sucker or entire side shoot. The nourishing leaf is a large green leaf that captures sunlight and gives the plant energy. There's one per tier, and it's especially important for nourishing the fruit at the node. Most cucumbers are climbing plants, so they have tendrils. These are thin shoots about 1 to 2 millimeters, 0.05 to 0.1 inches, with a spiral at the end, which the plant uses to grab onto supports to climb upward. Tendrils aren't essential for the plant's health. You also see yellow blossoms at the node. Cucumbers have two types of blossoms, male and female. Male blossoms are for pollination and grow on thin stalks. Female blossoms have a small baby cucumber behind them, which later develops into a fruit. Blossoms are mainly pollinated by bees. For growing in places with a shortage of pollinators, like greenhouses, you can plant so-called parthenocarpic varieties. These cucumbers don't need pollen from male blossoms or pollinators like bees to produce fruit. The fruits are the cucumbers themselves. They usually have a cylindrical shape and can vary in size from a few centimeters to 40 centimeters, 15.5 inches or more. The specific appearance and taste of the fruits depend on the variety. A sucker is a small green leaf that initially grows at the node alongside that already developed nourishing leaf. If left to grow, it will later become an entire side shoot. A side shoot is a branch of the main stem. If allowed to grow, it develops like the main stem with its own nodes, leaves, blossoms, fruits, and additional suckers. The main stem branches further through side shoots. Cucumbers can be grown in many ways. The method you choose affects the variety selection, plant spacing during planting, and the type of support used. Let's look at two methods. The simplest, growing on the ground, and, in my opinion, the best, growing on a support. The easiest method is growing on the ground. The plant simply crawls on the ground without any support, and no pruning is done or only minimal pruning. You just remove damaged leaves or excess side shoots to prevent the plant from becoming too dense and rotting. You can grow any cucumbers this way, but it's typically used for bush varieties on large areas. I've tried bush salad cucumber varieties in containers on my terrace. They tend to grow wider, but even so, the shoots got long without pruning, quickly spilling over the container and becoming hard to manage. The advantage of growing on the ground is that you don't need support and you barely have to care for the cucumbers. However, I don't recommend this method for gardens, mainly because it takes up a lot of space and the yield per area is very low. In addition, most cucumbers are vining cucumbers with long shoots that curl up in one big, messy, blight-prone jungle on the ground over the course of the season. The second method is vertical growing on a support. Here, we use the cucumber's climbing ability, guiding the plant upward along a support. A suitable support can be anything sturdy and long enough, like poles, spirals, sturdy nets on frames, or stretch ropes. In this case, the cucumber is kept in the desired shape with a specific number of main and side shoots through simple interventions. You can grow on one or more main stems or one main stem with side shoots of varying lengths. I personally recommend growing on a single main stem. This method is suitable for both gardens and greenhouses. Growing on a single main stem with a vertical support involves keeping only one main stem and removing all side shoots as early as possible. This deliberately redirects the plant's energy to where we want. The fastest ripening of already set fruits and then immediately forming new ones in higher tiers. For me, this is the best method, both for beginners because it's easy to understand and for advanced growers because it offers many benefits and a large harvest. I've been growing cucumbers this way for nearly 10 years, and we often have such a big harvest that I can't keep up with pickling and processing. Of course, if you are more experienced, you can experiment with other combinations like growing on multiple stems or keeping side shoots. Otherwise, it's a safe bet. This method was likely adapted from growing tomatoes. If you learn to grow cucumbers this way, you'll easily manage tomatoes too, as it's very similar. And of course, you can grow both salad and pickled cucumbers this way. Growing on a single stem has many advantages. Plants on a support take up much less space than those grown on the ground. The yield per area is much higher, and you can grow more fruits per plant. The plant produces slightly fewer fruits, but they ripen faster. In my opinion, the speed of fruit ripening is far more important than having a large number of fruits that take forever to ripen. If a fruit stays on the plant too long, it can cause other problems. Saving space allows us to grow more plants, so we can try more varieties. I believe growing multiple plants and varieties is the key to successful gardening. Nature thrives on quantity, and if one doesn't work out, you have others. For years, I've been harvesting continuously for months because I have a better overview of what's happening on the plant, and regular harvesting, which is crucial for cucumbers, is so much easier. Plus, I haven't missed a ripe cucumber in years. That's a big issue because if you overlook a cucumber and it ripens fully, the plant considers its job done and stops producing, which we definitely don't want. A plant grown on a single stem is more resistant to blight because it's not lying on the ground and doesn't have excess leaves or side shoots. A more early plant is great for blight prevention. This method allows for an endless harvest. By constantly pruning and harvesting fruits on time, which I do later in the season about 2 to 3 times a week, I force the plant to keep producing new flowers and fruits. So I harvest all summer into fall for many months. Like everything, growing on a single stem has its downsides. You need a trellis and regular interventions take time. But for most of the season, this care is combined with harvesting, which cucumbers require regularly anyway. For all interventions, hygiene and preventing disease spread between plants are crucial. Disinfect your hands and all tools beforehand, and don't work with gloves dirty from soil. I found alcohol-based disinfectant with 60 to 70% content, ideally in a spray, to be effective. Avoid interventions during rain or in damp conditions, as this increases the risk of blight. Pinching out suckers prevents the growth of future side shoots. Remove the suckers as early as possible when it's still small and hasn't used much of the plant's energy. Start this on cucumbers about 3 to 5 weeks after planting. While caring for the plant, look for suckers. They can vary in shape and size. You can remove them with your fingers and fingernail or by cutting with scissors. I do it with my fingers and I'll show you how. Grab the sucker with your fingers and break it off at its base. During the first sucker pinching, it's also good to clean the base of the plant. The lower part is often very dense, and leaving anything close to the ground is a risk for the future. It also relieves the plant a bit after planting. Clear the base of the plant up to about 10 to 15 centimeters, 4 to 6 inches from the ground, removing all flowers, fruits, suckers, and leaves. I do this with just my fingers. Nearly ripe fruits at the base can be left if they are not touching the ground, but harvest them as soon as possible. If a sucker isn't removed early, it grows into a full-sized shoot. This needs to be removed entirely. Let's see how. Cut the side shoot with scissors 2 to 3 centimeters, 1 inch from the main stem. If you accidentally cut the main stem instead of the side shoot, don't panic. If the plant has another side shoot, guide it upward. This side shoot will take over as the main stem. If the plant has no other shoots, even at lower tiers, let the fruits ripen and remove the plant. When you harvest a fruit, I recommend removing the nourishing leaf at the same tier, especially if it's low to the ground, yellowish, or otherwise damaged. Leaving it there can become a source of disease. Cut the nourishing leaf with scissors 2 to 3 centimeters, 1 inch from the main stem. When the cucumber outgrows its trellis, you have several options. One is to stop the main stems grow by cutting it like a side shoot, then removing the plant and replacing it with a new seedling. I don't do this, and as long as the plant is healthy, I cool it downward and continue another growth cycle in the same spot, up and down. I replace plants in my conservatory in summer, usually in August. Then I swapped out plants that have been there since March. In outdoor beds, I don't replant cucumbers. They usually last until the end of September or longer. Hi, I'm Marketa from Hendilio, and I've been gardening for over 13 years. I share my experience in every video which Petr and I carefully prepare for you. With us, you'll grow your harvest effortlessly and without chemicals. No more trial and error, give it a try. Now you already know how to best grow cucumbers. June is also the best time to start looking after your tomatoes properly. Prevention is the best fight against blight. Find out how to care for your tomatoes to avoid blight in our other video, so go check it out. Easier plant care.